All right, what's going on, guys? It's really late video, so don't mind me if I come off as a little tired or whatever. It's like 2 in the morning. Just want to say happy Thanksgiving, okay? Cherish the time with your family, eat well, have some drinks, but be careful if you're driving out late, with the drinking and everything like that. Just be safe out there and just cherish the time with your family, all right? Um, this video here, I actually did this a few days ago. It was a little too long. I thought it was a little too long. I know I do make a lot of long videos, but this was unnecessarily wrong, okay? So I deleted it, and I wanted to do it over without breaking down and going through every single fight on this card. So let's start off with this video here. PBC on Fox for 2019, okay? First off, I want to start off by saying I'm glad that they're back, because it was a little while there where we weren't getting any fights. There was no scheduled fights, and I didn't know what was really going on. I didn't know if they're going to come back for a new season of fights. So I'm glad that it's back. That means more boxing. It's free boxing, between having this, having HBO, even though HBO's on its way out, having Showtime, having DAZN, ESPN Plus, I have them all. It's pretty good to have something on network television, so there's some decent fights up there, and I'm just glad it's back, I'm glad PBC is still there, because I just want, and I'll get into my place. First off, let me start off by saying what I do like is that there are a few fights that I personally want to see, right? Now, they are kind of mediocre fights, but there's fights there that I want to see. Like, I want to see, have the licks here. I want to see the Truax fight against Peter Quillin. I think that's a fight that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense to me. Truax has proven to be a formidable opponent, a good fighter at 168. He beat James DeGale. Even though DeGale is past his prime, it was still a good win. And I know he lost in a rematch, but it makes sense. They both were opponents for Daniel Jacobs. They both lost to Daniel Jacobs. Quillin, looking to see where he stands. What's his place in boxing? After he lost to Jacobs, he took a long break. I know he recently beaten the Mayweather promotion fighter, a guy that's always with Mayweather. I can't think of his Leon Love. All right, beat him. It was a shitty fight, but it wasn't Quillin's fault. Quillin was trying to make the fight. Leon Love ran the whole fight. But it's a good matchup to me. It makes sense. Like, it's an even matchup. It's a mediocre, like, as far as the level of class that you want to put them in. You argue that they're B or C level fighters, but the fight makes sense, all right? I like that fight. I like the Caleb Plant fight against Jose Uzcategui. I always say his name wrong, but I like that fight, because Jose is very dangerous. Had a tough fight, tough loss to Matt Coroball back in the day. He beat Andre Durrell, okay? A lot of controversy in that first fight, but he stopped him in the second fight. And that's a great fight. Plant hasn't really been tested. I think this is a very dangerous opponent to be tested or finally, test your skills against for the first time. You're fighting a top guy at 168, but I like the matchup. It's a good matchup, and I'm looking to see what happens with Caleb Plant. I don't know if he's going to win this fight, but I'm not really sure because I feel like I haven't seen the best of him. I've seen him fight a bunch of mediocre guys, and I'm glad that he's stepping up. So I do like that fight. Other fights like, Danny Garcia against Adrian Granados, that's cool. A fight that I think Danny should win, but it shouldn't be an easy fight. I do like Omar Figueroa against John Molina. I think that fight is okay. I think when you first look at the names, you see Molina. I don't know why. Like, people see John Molina and they think automatic, like, war. Like, this guy is gonna go head to head. The thing is, John Molina is not really that aggressive unless he's down and he feels like there's some sense of urgency, and he shows You know, he has warrior type tendencies, but he's not like an Omar Figueroa. Omar is going to come at him hard, really trying to knock him out throughout the whole fight. No defense at all, straight slugging, you know. John Molina is probably going to be the boxer in this match. Should still be a decent fight, you know. I think that's a good fight as well. And, you know, I'm going through here. Lamont Peterson against Olympian Yates. I think that's a solid fight as well, you know. Just to pretty much see where Olympian Yates really stand at 147. I personally think he's just a little too small for 147. I think he should stay at 140. The talent at 147 is better. The size is bigger, obviously. I think he should stay at 140. But Lamont Peterson is a good fight. I think that's a solid fight. And, you know, they both, you know, Olympian Yates recently lost to Mikey Garcia. And Peterson recently lost to Errol Spence. And now these two are fighting each other, just like Mikey and Spence are fighting each other. All right, so I think that's a solid fight. These are the solid fights here. You know, other fights here, I either don't care for or they just are ridiculous to me, you know. Now, the problem is that there are no exciting fights here for me. Like something that I'm really excited for. There are no standout fights here, you know. I think out of all of the years that they did this lineup with Fox or PBC have came out with a lineup of fights, schedule of fights, I think this might be one of the weakest ones. Because, yeah, you have the names there. You have the Charlo twins. You have Thurman, Porter, Spence. You got all these names there. You got them there, right? But the problem is, one of the fights is pay-per-view. The biggest fight there is pay-per-view because you have two big names. You got Spence and you got Mikey Garcia. That would have been a fight to try to get more viewers on network television. But being that it's a pay-per-view, it kind of changes things, you know. And then, I don't know, I think this on so many levels. I already expressed that I don't think this should be a pay-per-view fight. But on so many levels, I just think that this was the wrong idea. And if you're going to do a pay-per-view with this fight, maybe you should have did a separate press conference for that fight alone. To have it bunched in a mix of this where it was just a press event where there was no energy in the room. There was no crowd chanting. There was nothing. It was kind of like quiet, really mellow. It was really dull and dry. You know what I'm saying? At least I thought it was. The actual event of, you know, the schedule and the rollout for this. But I care for the fights. So the fights is the most important thing. But it was nothing to really get excited about as I'm watching it. You got the Charlo twins. Jamal is fighting Willie Monroe Jr. Not excited for that fight. I hope that Al at some point gets something done. Some kind of deal where we can get Charlo to go to the zone to either fight Daniel Jacobs, Andrade, a Canelo, or a Triple G. I know Charlo wants to actually fight these guys, so I'm not in any sense trying to say that Charlo's ducking or anything like that. I want Charlo to go over there and get a shot. But these fights like with Willie Monroe Jr., these fights are not cutting it for me. You know what I'm saying? Just like Jamel fighting. And I know Jarrett Hurd is just getting off injury. We want to get that unification as soon as possible. We want that, okay? Because guys like Tony Harrison's a good boxer and everything, but there's two things that he's lacking. Stamina and a chin, okay? And Jamel is going to be trying to test that chin, and at some point, even if he's getting outboxed a little bit, he's going to test that chin, and he's going to put Tony asleep, in my opinion, all right? Willie Monroe Jr., skillful, you know, he got talent. Problem with him is he doesn't have punching power, and he doesn't have any dog in him. If he's down on points, he's down on points, and he's going to keep going down further on points. He's not going to change anything. He's not going to bring any adjustments. He's not going to do anything to try to win the fight. He's just going to just keep fighting the same way, you know. So, good boxer and everything, nice guy. Just not excited for that fight. Okay, the biggest problem I have with this rollout is the welterweight division. You have the top fighters there. You got three of the champions, the four champions there, and none of them are fighting each other. No unification. You know, Keith Thurman, I'm at least glad that he's coming back. It's a start off with him possibly finally getting a unification match. He needed a tune-up fight. You know, he said it. He addressed it for a long time. So I wasn't expecting anything other than a tune-up fight. He's going to be fighting Josecito Lopez. All right, I know he needs a tune-up fight, but it doesn't mean I need to be excited about it. You know, it's just another fight for me. Then you got Spence fighting Mikey Garcia. He wants to fight Thurman and Porter. He wants to fight them. They don't want to fight him. So he's fighting Mikey Garcia. I already expressed my feelings on that fight. I personally think it's a mismatch, even though Mikey is very, very good. And I think he's slightly more talented than Errol Spence. I just think that there are weight classes for a reason. And even if I think you're slightly skilled, you're a better skilled fighter and everything, I still think that this is not a fight I want to see. This is a fight where Spence is settling to fight a guy that's been calling him out just because the other champs don't want to fight him, you know? So that's how I feel about that fight. And I don't think it should be pay-per-view, all right? And then Porter's fighting one of his mandatories. You guys, not really excited for that fight because Porter at this point is like my least favorite welterweight at this point because he wants to be Mr. Friendly when it comes to Spence. You know, I want him to have that same energy he had against Danny Garcia when they were preparing to fight each other, okay? I want him to chase Spence like the way he chased Danny. But he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that because he wants to be a cherry picker now these days. That's what he's pretty much a cherry picker. So, not happy with him, okay? So, these are the fights that could be fights. They're all sitting in a room together and, you know, Porter wants to be buddy-buddy with Spence. You know, Thurman wants to let Spence come and interview him, interrupt his interviews and pat him on the back and stuff like that and joke and laugh and smile in each other's face. I don't want to see that shit. I want to see what Terrence Crawford and Spence was doing behind, you know, after the fight the other day, the Maurice Hooker fight. I want to see shit talking in your face, back and forth talk. I can beat you. You can beat me. I want to hear that. Bets being made. I don't want to see what Keith Thurman is today, like the way he is. So for me, I don't know. I was disappointed with that. You know, I think they could do better to have this roll out. And if you're on Fox, you want to draw attention. You want to bring in the fans. You want to bring in the viewers. These fights are just not cutting it. They're not cutting it, all right? Not saying that they have to have a great fight every week, but there is not one standout fight. And the one standout fight they have, as far as names are concerned, is Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence, and that is going to be a pay-per-view, all right? We're not going to get that on network television, so I'm disappointed in that. As far as the other fights, there are other fights in there that I don't really care for, that I don't really think are worth mentioning. Really disappointed with the I don't like the Adam Konechny fight with Gerald Washington. I think Gerald Washington needs to chill. He's a guy that hasn't been boxing that long, okay? He used to play football. He hasn't been boxing that long. He had a couple of fights where he got stopped, okay? And to fight a guy that has a lot of momentum, all right? A puncher, a guy that has a lot of stamina, a lot of volume, and is willing to go to war. We had one of the craziest fights with him and Charles Martin. For Gerald Washington to fight a guy like that after losing to Miller and Wilder is a little bit crazy. It's a little ridiculous. I understand you want to fight the best. That's cool. I understand that. But you don't really have the experience, you know, and you even get into close fights with Amir Mansour, you know what I'm saying? A guy that's much older than you, a guy that you were clearly winning, but you seem to gas out. You finding Konechny, he's gonna destroy you. Even if you're in the fight for a couple rounds, he's gonna come back and knock you out. Fights like that just doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, Gerald Washington is not winning that fight. He's no way he's winning that fight. All right? So overall, if I had to score this schedule with PBC, I would give it a C. You know, I would give it a straight C. You know, no standout fights. We got a pay-per-view fight in there. You know, I think there are some solid fights there, but there's too many fighters that's in the same division, but they're not fighting each other. And they're all part of this group, especially at 147 and 154. They need to make it happen. They need to work on something with Jamal, trying to make a fight. If he has to go to DAZN and do it, go to DAZN. He doesn't have to sign along. Just do it on a fight-by-fight basis. Make something happen. Something needs to happen for Jamal. Just overall disappointed. This is not a DAZN versus PBC versus HBO versus ESPN video. This is not that, because ESPN ain't giving us greatest fights every week. DAZN is not giving us great fights every week. But we did have some standout fights with them. Okay? What I'm saying right now with PBC, as far as I see, the only standout fight they had is a pay-per-view fight. All right? And a fight where you got two guys from two different weight classes fighting each other when unification matches can be made. All right? So that's why I'm scoring it a C. I'm going to watch it. I'm still glad that it's on network television, and there are some fights that I am interested in. But there's nothing that really excites me, all right? So I'm going to leave it at that. It's getting late. Like I said, have a good, happy Thanksgiving. And I'll probably see you guys again in a couple days. Peace.